Want to make the most out of your recent hip replacement, then make sure you avoid these 5 common mistakes and stay tuned until the very end as I will take you through the most common one that I see in clinic every week. Hi there, it's Luke from Genuine Physio and I help over 40s keep happy and healthy. I am an advanced physiotherapy practitioner based in the UK, which means I regularly refer patients for scans for their osteoarthritic hips. I help list for surgeries and I also refer them for injections where appropriate. So what I want to do in this video is make sure that you get the most out of your hip replacement, you optimize your rehabilitation and your recovery, and you don't slow yourself down by doing things that people commonly adopt during their recovery process that are not that helpful. Mistake number 1 is resting for too long. Now, yes, it is a very invasive surgery, and yes, it does require a period of taking it easy. More so because your body's working overtime to repair and recover, and that takes a lot of energy, and that can make you tired. But there is a reason you are able to fully weight bear directly after your surgery, as long as there have been no complications. It's because the prosthesis is very stable, it's very safe, and it can tolerate load. So this is not a surgery that requires weeks and weeks of bed rest or chilling out on the sofa. You need to be up, you need to be engaged with your rehabilitation, and avoid taking it easy for too long because that will slow things down. Mistake number 2 is not optimizing your oral analgesia. So that basically means not taking adequate pain relief. People see it as a milestone in their recovery to get rid of their pain relief. But if your pain is not well controlled, then you're not going to be able to optimize your rehabilitation, and that is key in order to get you back doing the things that you enjoy. So it's really important that you take the pain relief as needed to enable you to do your rehabilitation exercises. That's likely to actually speed things up in terms of your recovery than slow things down. The third mistake that people make is getting rid of their walking aids too soon. So either your walking stick or your crutches. Similar to the pain relief really, people get rid of them because they see it as a sign of progression and moving on to the next step. Then that is the case, and it's absolutely appropriate to do so if you have a normal walking pattern. So what I see a lot of the time is people getting rid of their crutches because they see it as an improvement, but they're still walking with a limp. You do not want to be doing that. Part of your rehabilitation, so if I'm seeing somebody with a hip replacement, part of their rehab will involve 2 to 3 times a day, 5 minutes of practicing their walking again. If you've had a painful hip for a long time before your replacement, there's a strong chance that you were limping before the surgery. So you kind of need to re-educate your brain on what a normal walking pattern looks like again, feels like again, and it needs practice. And a walking aid is part of facilitating that. So don't get rid of them too soon. Don't start walking with a limp for prolonged periods because you're going to end up with other issues up the leg and possibly in your lower back. Mistake number 4 is not having adequate support after your hip replacement with your rehabilitation. Now, it is an invasive surgery and therefore there's lots of things to navigate. You've got the pain, you've got the swelling, you've got the pain relief, you've got the walking aids, you've got your exercise program. What does that look like? When should it be progressed? How much should you be doing? How often should you be doing it? How does all of that stuff wrap up into getting you back to work, getting you back to the things that you enjoy and love? All of those factors are really difficult to navigate by yourself. Now, as mentioned, I'm a physio in the UK. We have a public healthcare system and it's chocker at the moment, and therefore people are not necessarily getting the adequate follow-up and support that they need. So I've seen quite a few patients in private practice recently who have had 1 or 2 sessions after their knee or hip replacement and they've been discharged. And then they're really struggling because there's just such a massive gulf in terms of what they've been given to do and how those first few weeks then translate into 2, 3, 4 months down the line when they're struggling to get back to the things that they enjoy. So definitely investing in some support if you don't feel like it's adequate is a very good idea to speed things up for you. Mistake number 5, which is the most common one I see, is not having an adequate strength and conditioning program. And this refers to a little bit what I've just mentioned in terms of mistake 4, which is this gulf of making sure that your rehabilitation looks like the things that you want to get back to. And if that's just walking to the shops and back, then it might be that your strength and conditioning program doesn't need to be too challenging. But if you want to get back to walking, hiking, getting up and off the floor, maybe a little bit of football, maybe going to the gym, looking after your grandkids, These things require a robust strength and conditioning program, and there's a kind of danger zone, if you like, with any injury, but particularly a hip replacement. You get to that stage where things feel much better, the pain is relatively low, if any at all, and you feel like you can do everything. But the issue with that is when things are pain-free, if you have not done the adequate strength and conditioning, your tissues, the muscles, the tendons, the bones are not ready to meet the demands of the activities that you want to get back to, then you're putting yourself at risk of other injuries. Glute tendon pain, hamstring pain, all of these other secondary problems that can occur when there is a load insufficiency in those surrounding soft tissues. So mistake number 5 is not having a robust, challenging and progressed strength and conditioning program. So just to recap, your hip replacement is robust and strong, and therefore you don't need to be resting for too long. Make sure you're taking appropriate oral analgesia. Don't get rid of your crutches too soon. Ensure you've got appropriate one-to-one support to get you back on the road to recovery as soon as possible, and ensure that you have a good quality strength and conditioning program. If you would like some more personalised bespoke help because you are not getting what you need at the moment, then I do offer a few online one-to-one appointments each week, which you can find details about in the description below the video. If actually you're ready to crack on with some harder exercises, then there are videos on my YouTube channel about exercise for strong hips, which you can find up here. And if you have found the video helpful, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more over 40s health tips. And whilst you're doing that, I'll see you in the next one.